All right, on to the show and tell. This will probably be pretty quick today, but why don't we start online? For you guys online, Don, do you have anything for us?
Uh, I have something if you want me to share my screen.
Okay, okay, hang on a sec. Okay, okay, Tom, go ahead.
All right, hang on.
Get okay.
Let me get to the right screen. All right. And what I'm working on, you see what's on, you see the hull?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm working on, this here is Argus. It's one of two brigs that was commissioned specifically for the Barbary Wars. The second one was the Siren, which is the kit. I think I mentioned before, both of these ships have the same overall dimensions, beam and length between perpendiculars, and they're both armed more or less the same. That's where the similarity ends. They're completely different ships. So I have everything planked. The stripe here at the gun ports, that's just yellow cedar planking with white bond poly on it. The black part from the whale to the waterline and the one plank above, that's black dye, shoe polish, shoe dye. Leather dye. I have the gun ports framed out, but not cut through yet. This is the underside. That structure that you see over here, that is so I can clamp it into a vise. And the plan is from the waterline down, this is going to be planked. It's going to be coppered. Why did I bother planking the whole thing? I can tell you, I haven't planked the hull in a number of years. Spiling the planks, especially at the bow, is really a helpful thing to do, and is really not that difficult to do. I have one steeler here, and that's it. But it's all going to be covered by copper. Okay. All right, just an overall view. The way I made the bulwarks, because they're quite thin, they're full size, 10 inches wide. So an 1/8 inch scale, that's under 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So what I did is it's laminated, and I had bulkhead formers in here. I broke them out, and then I put another layer of planking in there. So now it works out to a scale 10 inches. Okay, this is something that's very interesting. I mentioned that earlier meetings. Chappelle's plans, when Chappelle draws something up, and even the official Navy plans, when they don't know what the figurehead actually was, they put a billet head on. Not belaboring it too much, but I did some research, and I found out that the ship, at least in 1815, when it was captured, had yellow sides, okay, and had a bust for a figurehead. Question is, a bust of what? I figured possibly a bust of the god Argus. So what I did is I looked at classical paintings, I looked at sculptures, and the issue was that nothing had orthographic views, 3 views, so that I could, put it on a blank of wood and carve it out. So what I did is I went into Microsoft Copilot, and I said, a bust of the Greek mythological figure Argus, 3 orthographic views. 2 minutes later, it came back with 4 views of a bust of Argus, left, right, front, and back. Okay.
No, I'm trying to get an actual group.
So that was pretty incredible. I talked it up at one of my meetings, and I gave it, and Chuck says, "Hey, why don't you send me what you got?" So I sent it to him at larger scale. He 3D printed it, and this is what it is. And I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. He made 3 of them in case I screw one up. But as you could see from this photograph, the detail on here is absolutely incredible. And there's no way I could have carved this. Absolutely no way. This is what you see on your screen there is way oversized. This thing sits about 1/4 of an inch tall. Okay. Yeah, pretty incredible. Okay. So here are the 3 of them that he made for me. And this is in the mints that you get from Trader Joe's. This is in that box there. And finally, okay, and yeah, finally, okay. It's oriented wrong, but I don't want to screw with it because I don't know what Zoom is going to do. So what I did is I took beading wire, and Chappelle's plans. Obviously, he doesn't show it. He shows very little decorations because you don't really know what's there. So what I did is I made these. I twisted this beading wire together, and I made these vines to put for the trail boards. They're not glued on yet. They're not finished yet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to airbrush them off the model, put them on. I have to clean up the fancy work on the trail board. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a gray-black wash over the white because nothing is pure white. And that's it. So I can stop sharing. As soon as
All right, Tom. Thanks. All right, thank you much. Very
Okay.
good. All right.
Tom, I have a question.
Yeah.
Why did you use black dye as opposed to black paint on the model?
Because the black dye is almost like water. Okay. It flows on beautifully, no brush marks whatsoever. And it gives a perfect matte finish, Now, the downside is that this yellow planking that I put above, I put that on after I dyed it because the dye runs everywhere. As a matter of fact, you could probably see down here how the dye bled between the two through the joints. Now that's going to all be covered by copper, so it really doesn't matter. But you can see what happens. I mean, it bleeds everywhere. So that's the downside. Okay. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right.
Tom,
Yeah,
did you use water or alcohol with the dye?
it's an alcohol base.
And it bled like that.
It bled like that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now, as soon as I figure out how to do this on my computer that I can get out of the screen share. Okay. Let's figure out how we're going to do this. Or I think one of you guys from that end, you could probably stop this thing. Okay. Screen sharing. Okay. I want to get out of there. Okay. I apologize, guys. I'm having an issue here. One of you guys dump me out of this, or what I could do is I could just disappear and come back in again. All right, I'm going to leave the meeting and get back in so I get out of the screen share.
All righty. Dave, Chelmow, got anything for us today?
I do. I'm going to need to share my screen too. Here we go. So you should be able to see, can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my New Bedford whaleboat. It's in Holly. When I showed it last time, I had about half the planks on. The planking is complete. It's lapstrake near the keel and at the gunwales and carvel in between. Front view showing longitudinal, and then this is the last of the pictures that I'll show. I had big plans to do the gunwale strake in ebony. That's not going to work. It's got to be white on the inside, black on the outside, and in 3/64ths. If I couldn't see laminating it, and 1/64th holly is so thin, you would have seen the ebony through it. So I'm not going to use dye. The holly is too absorbent. I'm going to, after I get some clear on most of this, I'm going to mask and paint. I'm trying to make this like the Eric Ronberg model that's in the New Bedford Whaling Museum. And it turns out his is painted too. I finally was able to find on their website some documentation of the model. I wished I'd been able to find it earlier. He actually built a lot of it in holly, but he planked in boxwood, which I could have done. And his big black strake is painted too. So it'll actually be like the model I'm trying to copy. The moment of truth is coming up. Then I'm going to drill the 2 mounting holes while it's still in the jig, and it comes out of the jig, and I have no idea what it's going to look like on the inside. But a lot of that gets covered by internal planking. But anyways, that's the progress, and I will stop the share.
Well, it's immaculate.
Very good.
Really, really beautiful.
What scale is it?
It's 1/16.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
All righty, moving on. Mort, what do you got for us today?
Me?
Yes, you, Mort. You, Mort.
Yeah, I do. I have the cannons and the breaching cables are all attached. And I'm working on the training cables now. And that's where I am. It's moving along.
All righty. Just like Mr. Crowley's anxious to share. You have something for us?
To
John?
me?
Yes.
Not today, thanks.
Not today. All righty. Let me see. Stuart, I guess you don't have anything to show us, do you? Nope. All righty. Going down the list, and let me see who else is on there.
Bill Emerson's on.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Bill, how you doing?
Well, thanks for asking. I'm working on a 196 scale CVE, the USS Liscombe Bay, a compact carrier from the in the Second World War. It blew up on its maiden voyage when a Japanese torpedo had a lucky hit on the ammunition storage in these unarmored escort carriers. And it's and a friend of mine, a lifelong friend of mine's father was aboard and died, and so I wanted to build this model. I don't have anything to show yet, but it's a promising model if I can get it going.
All right, well, maybe next month you'll have something to show.
Maybe. Thank you.
All right, Mike Pelland, what do you got there? Anything for us?
A little bit of progress on my Constitution. The gun ports were a real pain to get right, and my gun deck is now in, and the berth deck is complete. I'm about to work on gun carriages, are about to get primed, and they'll sit in sit in there. I may have to adjust the height of the berth deck a little bit, but of the spar deck a little bit to making progress slowly. Last month.
All right, nice. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Munson, you got anything for us? Stuart? He not there anymore?
No,
Oh, there you
I'm as I mentioned earlier, I'm starting to work on my first planking and I'm stuck, so I will probably see you all next month and elicit your assistance.
All right. All right. Anybody else online before we move inside? All righty. You hit the lights. There, thanks. All righty. Moving inside here. Let's go around the tables. Anybody? Well, I see a PT boat up there. Caelan, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, how about John goes first? Started progress on the PT boat. Spent some time with John and Kevin and Tim at the taco stand. Started working on the deck. Now I'm already starting with wood fillet. I also started working on the nozzles of the torpedo tubes. Next, all I'm going to do now is probably add the sanding blocks. If you read my corner in the newsletter, there's a cabinet up from my shop. I told John about this. They made some of them. I made some of mine using their dumpster.
It was kind of funny because it's in the instructions for the kit. I said I needed some material for patterns and sanding blocks, so I went down the street and dug through the dumpster. It's in the instructions. I like died when he read it to me.
Yeah.
That is a huge hole.
Bigger the better.
What scale is that?
1/20th.
1/24.
1/24?
Dumas kit. Fiberglass.
Higgins or no?
Okay.
Is it RC?
It is an RC, but I want to make it a static model.
What kit is that again?
A Dumas kit.
Thank you.
Yeah. All righty. Very good.
And a huge thank you to Eugene for giving me these propellers.
Good. They should do the bill.
I remember what you told me in the call. You told me to annoy John as much as possible.
And have you been successful? Damn. Excellent job. Good job.
Well, thank you.
All righty.
Good job.
Anybody else around the tables before we move on? Okay, yeah. All righty. Sean?
I don't want to go after Sean.
So in previous meetings, I mentioned that I didn't want to use the laser cut canvased deck that came in the Winchelsea kit. So instead, what I did was I created a black and white checkerboard painted canvas type of representation of what would be in the ship. And Dave Chelmow in a previous meeting kind of walked me through the process for actually creating it. And Dave, thank you for it because it worked really well. I ended up taking strips of holly and sanding them down to 1/64th of an inch thick, 1/4 inch wide. They were as much as 18 inches long. And then essentially the deck is 3 layers. So I start off with a layer of aircraft grade plywood that's 1/64th of an inch thick, with the intent that eventually as I build 3 layers, I will get to 3/64ths, which is the thickness of the actual deck planking on the gun deck. From there, I took the individual strips, I glued them in both the holly and the ebony. I then glued them on the aircraft plywood till I got strips of white and black. Again, about 6 to 12 inches long is for each ones that I did. And then taking an X-Acto blade and a straight edge, I ended up cutting out strips. So they were alternating white and black. You can see that this one was rejected because some of the holly popped out as I was trying to cut it. And once each of those strips were cut out, I then glued them in a 45-degree angle across another sheet, giving me my 3 layers, and then eventually came to shaping it, contouring it so it would fit the inside of the captain's cabin, and then eventually polyed it with polyacrylic to get the finished piece. So right now this is just tacked down with double-sided tape. I'll take that off and then actually glue it in the cabin. And I think this month's newsletter that came out has a picture of the deck actually sitting in the mall. That's my checkerboard deck.
You almost have to see it in person to see. It's a work of art.
It really is. Gorgeous.
Sean, it came out great.
Yeah, appreciate the advice you gave me on it because it went together really well. The only difficulty I had, Dave, was actually gluing the ebony down onto the plywood. The first attempt, which is this one, or actually the very, very first attempt, I used really thin down wood glue and it warped it really bad. This particular one, I used contact cement. And it achieved okay, but it didn't lay as well as I would have liked. I ended up, as much as I didn't want to do it, I ended up using super glue to hold the holly down because the holly was really hard to keep on the plywood. But
Yeah,
do
I think
appreciate
when I did mine, I just used Tight Bond and it worked okay.
Tight Bond was my first attempt, and that's where it went wrong. But I used a really watered down one in the hopes that it wouldn't too much moisture. Yeah.
On
my
may I
checkerboard.
make a comment?
Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's remarkable that you did that with an X-Acto knife and got the registration, as best I can see online. I mean, normally I would have done it on a model saw, and it's remarkable.
I did use the model saw the first time, but given that I am 1/64th of an inch thick on the ebony, it literally shattered the ebony right off the plywood. Even though I was using a brand new Super Shock blade, it shattered the holly. I'm sorry, the ebony. I went through about 20 different X-Acto blades, number 11 blades, to be able to build each of those 2 examples.
Yeah, I did mine on my table saw, but that was back when I was using a Preac, and I used a really thin blade with tons and tons of teeth.
Yeah, mine was the Preac, and I used the same type of blade, Dave, and it literally, I was surprised at how much it shattered it.
Oh, okay.
I used Tight Bond on my checkerboard floor. I poured a little bit onto a plastic cover for salad dressing, and I let it cure so it got really sticky. And then when I cemented it to the template, it worked very well. It stayed down. It really worked well. And I also used my barn saw on a blade with a lot of teeth to cut it.
That's an interesting. Okay. Thanks, Mort.
All righty. Thank you much. All right.
Just have a comment for everybody that uses X-Actos. The X-Acto blades are not as sharp as a science, as scalpels, surgeon's scalpels. If you have scalpels, you can find them much, much sharper than a brand new X-Acto blade.
One thing that I wanted to mention, when I started spiling planks on the model that I built, it was in cherry, and spiling, you're not doing straight cuts. You're doing, basically a parabola. and the blade was wandering all over the place. And what I used is X-Acto Z blades, which are the sharpest X-Actos you can get, and even that wasn't working right. How I fixed the problem was I went to a number 2 blade instead of a number 11, and it worked much better. Of course, you have to frequently change it out after about 2 dozen cuts. You have to change the blade. But if you're going to do heavy cutting, and cutting 1/64 right through is if you're not going in especially if you're not going in a straight line. If you're going in a straight line, you could use a straight edge to guide the blade. But if you have to cut a curve and you don't have a guide and you have to freehand it, I found that the number 2 blade was much better to use.
Yeah, if you are going to use scalpels on wood, I agree they are incredibly sharp. They're wonderful. I love scalpels, but they're not designed for wood. They break really easily, so just make sure you're wearing eye protection.
I didn't have a problem with the number 11s. It just, they got dull really fast because the ebony dulled them. But I used the Midwest duplicator cutter jig so that I could get 1/4 inch. Somebody mentioned about indexing it. I used that so that I had 1/4 inch strips consistently through the whole thing. It's just, ebony is incredibly dense, I found. It's the first time I've ever used it. Dave, thanks for giving me the piece to use. And the number 11 blade worked really well. I had no issues with it whatsoever. It's just that ebony dulled them really fast. And, as you start scraping, I didn't try to cut it all at once. I just took, gentle cuts through it until I came all the way through. And again, I'm only cutting a 32nd of an inch. But it dulled really fast, and you could feel it getting really dull after a couple of swipes. So I didn't mind using up the number 11s to get what I achieved.
Oh, you mentioned what type of model saw are you referring to?
So I used what I tried to cut it on first was a Preac. I have a Preac and I have a Proxon, but I didn't have the multi-teeth for the Proxon, so I used the Preac, and I had a blade, and it was very sharp. I mean, it's what I used to cut the holly strips and the ebony and their lengths. But when it came to cut across the squares, it shattered them. It cut through the holly really well, but when it came to the spot where the ebony was, it literally blew it out of the blue.
Preac?
Sean, did you try sandwiching it between 2 other pieces of wood and seeing if it cut better?
Yes.
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Did you try sandwiching it between 2 pieces of wood and seeing if it cut better?
I did not do that, no. That might have helped it, yeah. Probably would have got it done a lot faster if I tried that.
Yes,
Thanks for
would
the
you do it
idea.
again?
Would I do it again? It wasn't bad. My next model, yes.
All righty.
Just one more comment on blades. A surgeon, a dermatologist I know, uses blades a lot, and I told him I like the number 11, which I love, by the way, but you can't put much pressure before it breaks. And so he said, "Oh, well, try the 15." So I bought a pack of 15s, and you can put much more pressure to cut wood, not necessarily the wood we're talking about here, very thin, but much more pressure without them breaking. And so you might want to try that sometime for other projects.
Yeah, there's still a ton of difference between any scalpel blade, 10, 11, and 15, or an X-Acto knife. The X-Acto knife is way thicker and is much more tolerant, even though it's duller.
All righty. Very good. All right. Anybody else in here? Okay. I'm going to do mine and then I'll let you finish up.
Got a question here.
Finish up. Okay, go ahead and share mine then.
Okay, you got a question over here. John?
Okay, yeah.
FlexCut has come out with a set of knives, professional carving knives that are extremely good, and they're almost to the point where the scalpel and these number 11 blades come in. Very durable. I've been using it now for a year, and I keep it strapped pretty heavily. They are very sharp, and they're very good at cutting through a lot of this. I want to try that. A lot of the stores will start looking at online. Some of the stores have started to carry these blades, but they're worth every penny, I think.
What's the name of it again?
Flex Cut. If you get online and look at the website for Flex Cut, look at the professional carving knives, and they're very, very good.
All right, very good. All righty. My ongoing project, the Zircon, is coming to a close. I'm getting to the point now where I wanted to mount it on the base, and this is just a couple of slides of my making the base for it. I start out with a piece of mahogany, which I bought down here at the Yukon Lumber. It was a little rough, but after dimensioning it, then you can move on to the next one. And a lot of sanding. I was able to get it fairly smooth. What is that?
Is it showing up on the computer?
Yeah, yeah. And for the mount, for the pedestals, I just bought a couple of finials and sanded them down, painted them, cut the hull shape into the top of it, and bore it out for mounting. Bolt. Go ahead. And here it is, rough fit onto the base before I finished painting the edges, which is just a chair rail, a molding, glued and stapled around the perimeter, and the plexiglass case will then just fit down inside to fit. Then after that, I took the boat back off. Next, finished it up, multiple coats of clear urethane, water-based varnish, I guess, and painting it. It was ready to then mount the boat permanently and cinched down. Go ahead, next. And that's pretty much where it is right now. All that's left is just some of the rigging, antennas, and then the crew. And I need to then mount the boats and weather it. I'll do some light weathering on it, some little bit of rust streaks here and there, not too heavy. But that's coming close. I should have it finished by the next meeting, certainly by the ODO, which I intend to take it to. So that's where it is. For the benefit of Tom, the Zircon was a patrol yacht, a designated boat. It was acquired by the Navy from the Fishers. It was the remember Body by Fisher? Yeah, this was their personal yacht built in 1930. And then at the onset of the war, it was acquired, converted into a patrol yacht, some 3-inch guns on it, depth charges, orlikins. And the reason for this unusual subject was that my father-in-law served early on during the war, and then subsequently was transferred to another ship, which I also had built, the EE, which I had at the Nationals. So this completes the 2 boats that he had served aboard, and once I'm done with that, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Are you going to make the cover for this, or you have it made?
No. I actually have a couple of covers I need made. I'll probably go down to KG. They can build a case for that. I've used them in the past, and they're easy and good to work with. They just can't handle enormous case like the United States. That I had to do in Norfolk plastic. But yeah, I intend to get a case for it. But I also need to get one for the Olympia. I haven't done that yet. Anyways, here's where I am, and it's been about a year and 4 months now since I started it. So
What scale is that?
This is 1/4 inch scale.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely scratched. I can talk about it after.
Gene, are you making crew figures for it? Will this be crewless?
No, crew. No, definitely. No, I like to put both people on all the boats. Yeah, they're 3D printed. I got from Holden. Holden 8702, I think is his. I've dealt with him in the past. Several projects. He's
He's
got a
been
nice
very
line.
supportive.
Yeah.
Gets back to you quickly.
Yeah, no, he's got a nice line of figures, well detailed. So,
You can do any scale.
alrighty.
Gene, I got one question for you.
Yeah.
What in the hull receives that threaded bolt that you for the pedestal?
Okay, well, the threaded bolt was inserted before I even sheathed the hull. The bolt is anchored to the keel. It runs through the keel and up to the main deck. So it's and it protrudes down through and has been sticking out the bottom of the boat since its inception. So when I cinch it down, it's pulling on the keel and the main deck. It's so it's an integral part of the hull, the threads.
I see. So you it's just threaded into the wood.
Oh, those are just there to hold it, because what I do when I paint it, I chuck it into a hand drill, so I can just turn it slowly and then paint it. But those bolts you see there now are just their replacement, and they pull right out, and then they'll slide onto the bolts that are protruding from the bottom of the hull.
So the
and
nut
then
goes on
through
the bottom?
through the bottom of the base.
The nut.
Yeah. So there's a recessed hole in the bottom of the base, and it's all cinched up and tight. It's never coming out.
Thank you.
All righty. And last but not least, John. Next on to show us. Let me turn the lights on here.
Nice of you to say the worst for last. I say. All right.
Which
A lot
camera?
of you guys know, some of you, this will be a new story. Back the end of 26, the end of 24, a guy named Bill Tuttle, who was a what's that? Oh, he was a ship modeler that I met 45 years ago, maybe. He was part of the Richmond gang when there was a Richmond Ship Model Society, and he was also good friends with the folks that started this club. People like Tommy Tragle and Marvin Bryant, Eric Zircon, names that guys haven't heard probably. But anyway, when the Richmond Club disbanded, I don't know how and why, but he ended up in Roanoke, and that's where he lived. But he was starting this model, and he passed away before it was finished. His wife donated his shop to the club, which has been all the stuff that we've auctioned off in the past year. The cabinets, the tools, the benches, a lot of these books and plans here all came from Bill's model shop or whatever. But anyway, he donated to us with one request, and that was that we finish his last model. Well, I decided that it was something outside of my wheelhouse, because I built engine-powered vessels for the most part. And I said I would do that. I'd take it on, and it's been a real learning experience for someone who's a steel hull guy. This is the whaleboat Kate Cory, and it was built in, I think, 1854, and it operated out of, it says New Bedford on the stern, right? I don't know if that's New Bedford or next to each other, I don't know. This is Massachusetts, and New Bedford is also.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bedford, south of Boston,
Okay, so I guess it was north end. But it's a smaller than average whaler. It's a lot smaller than the Charles Morton and some others. But luckily for us, he had a lot of the more difficult stuff done before he passed on. So it was a matter of learning learning the model, learning what was missing, learning about what he had, trying to understand whether what he had was correct or incorrect. And for the most part, everything that I saw, or when I did my research, it's pretty much, it's period correct. He did an excellent job. He knew what he was doing, serving lines and various things. Anyway, it was a matter of finishing the model. So there was a lot of running rigging left to do. And there were things that were missing in the model that were going to accept some of the running rigging. And that's where a lot of difficulty came in, because I had to reach in where there was already rigging and things and try to drill holes and put anchor plates, pieces and stuff and rings and whatnot in it. And and then there was a repair. This had broken up here to put a valve for it. And so between fixing that and fixing everything else I broke while I was finishing the model, it took a little while. So the last thing that was to do was to zoom in, was to finish what was required for the whaleboats themselves. And he had them built, and he had some of the gear, but the rest of the gear needed to be fashioned and then installed, and then they needed to be installed. So the only thing left to do is decide which size of these flags that I'd like to finally use, and put 2 flags on the model. And then the model itself is finished. Then it's a matter of, we're going to build a base and a case for it. And Don and I have been talking. Don, you still online?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Don and I have been talking because Don's wife knows Bill Tuttle's widow. What's her name? Terry? What's
right? Tracy.
Tracy. And so we're going to try and build a case that's in the style of what he's already built for other models that are in this house. So it's more than just a fiber or a Lexan cover, which is what I'm used to. So we're going to have a lot of woodwork involved and stuff. Now, like I say, so this is what we're doing in exchange for all this stuff. And so far, I think I've given you a couple of bills, Ryland, for some things that we needed. So we're going to need now the wood and the glass or the plexi, depending on which way we go, or Lexan, for the case. And so there'll be one final bill of what it's going to cost us to get this, and then Don and I will get it back up to Roanoke where it belongs.
I asked her if what color or what type of wood. She doesn't know. But Bill was a woodworker, a furniture maker, and a model maker. She sent me a photograph. I think I forwarded those to you.
It looks like mahogany to me.
Yeah.
So, and actually, it looks a lot like I use
the red type mahogany.
I used Santos mahogany one time to make bases for a model that was a commission, and it looks a lot like that wood. And so we'll make a trip to Yukon and see if I can't pick up some Santos mahogany. And,
I know all the furniture in the house. It was all mahogany.
Oh, okay.
In his mother's house and photograph I saw of her place that they shared. Yeah, there's a lot of mahogany.
Well, then we'll use that. But I like the Santos because it's got a nice, deep, rich red color with it. So
and
here it is. Look at it. He did an excellent job. I hope that what I added to it is at least comparable to
it's beautiful.
What he had started.
A little bit of the backstory is they saw the print of the Kate Cory somewhere, and she kind of fell in love with the print. The print's in the house. The boat's going to be displayed near the print somewhere. He decided to build the Kate Cory for her, and life headed him off. But
well, I hope she enjoys it. So
I know she will, because it was like a labor of love type thing.
Yeah, and it's hard to step in somebody's shoes and try to finish a model the same caliber. I couldn't follow what this guy does over here. But this has been fun, and it's been a real good learning experience about how sailing ships operate and the whole different modeling method. There you go.
Beautiful model.
Oh, good job.
Where's my coin? Where's my
All right, with that, that'll finish up the show and tell portion. We'll take about 5 minutes, and then Ron will